Hello, and welcome to another episode of Brewery Towns, the podcast that talks about brewing beer throughout the country. My name is Matt, and I am joined this episode again by Cecilia.
Hello.
Thanks for coming back on.
Thank you for having me.
So, the last time we recorded, we talked about Leadville, Colorado, and that was after here in Pennsylvania we got almost 2 feet of snow. And now we are recording this episode after you guys in Texas got that big ice storm that I think the whole world knows about.
Yes, the whole world knows about it and how we all freaked out.
Are you ready to move?
Uh, it's there. It is there in my head. I'm like, maybe I should move to a state that has better infrastructure.
If the odds are in your favor, it's not going to happen for another 30 years.
Hopefully.
I mean,
We'll see.
It'll probably happen 5 more times this year,
I know,
seeing the
exactly.
path we're going on.
2020 has just been extended to 2021, so it doesn't really matter.
I love those memes from the Cabin in the Woods, and it's like, who had big ice storm in Texas for February 2021? Have you ever seen that movie?
No, I haven't seen this.
You need to watch it and then just look up the memes.
Okay.
They're really good. So today we are recording episode 21. The sources that we are using for this episode are the Sioux City Journal, Sioux Falls Business, and Yankton Daily. And that last one gives away the city that we're going to be talking about, and that is Yankton, South Dakota. Have you ever heard of it?
I have not heard of it, no.
I never heard of it either before I started looking around for cities. And that's part of the reason why I like this project, because you get to learn about cities that you never heard of, and you get to learn a little bit about their history, and then what they offer today, and now you just want to go visit them.
I know I've learned a lot being in these episodes.
Okay, let's get a little bit into Yankton, South Dakota. It is the county seat of Yankton County. It is located in southeastern South Dakota. It is about 1 hour to Sioux City, Iowa, about an hour and a half to Sioux Falls, and about 2.5 hours down the Missouri River to Omaha, Nebraska, which is a city we did in season 2. Its current population is 15,000, so fairly tiny, but it is still the seventh biggest city in the state.
Oh, wow.
I know. So I was thinking about this, and I looked up the largest communities in the greater Houston area, and Yankton would rank around 42nd. But it's the seventh biggest city in that state.
That is crazy.
Isn't
Wow.
it?
Yeah, that is pretty crazy.
That's why it would just be so cool to go to some of these places, because it is just so desolate, and it's just nothing that we have experienced before.
That's true. That's
I
true.
think I would like it.
Well, you're from Pennsylvania, so you're also part of a very populated.
Pennsylvania is like the seventh most populous state.
Oh, is it?
There's people everywhere here.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you're anywhere you go.
Yeah. So let's see, 15,000. It's also 2 hours south of Brookings, South Dakota. I forgot to say this. Shout out to Brookings. That's where my birth father is from. Also, my real father. Its nickname is the Mother of the Dakotas because it was the first capital in the Dakota Territory. It also goes by River City and Cement City.
I'm guessing they produce a lot of cement, right?
I have no facts to back up that name. That's just what Wikipedia told me. And it is hometown to Tom Brokaw, the news anchor. He wasn't born there, but he went to high school there.
Okay,
so I thought that counts.
Yeah, that counts.
It was part of the Yankton Sioux tribe, which was part of the Dakota people.
Mm-hmm.
As we said, it was the first capital of the Dakota Territory, and it served that capacity until 1883 when Bismarck took it over. Yankton isn't even the capital of South Dakota. Do you know the capital of South Dakota? I did not know it either, and I used to know all 50 capitals, but I don't now.
I never thought about South Dakota like that.
I know, it's terrible. You just forget about it.
I feel terrible.
So the capital of South Dakota is Pierre.
Pierre. Wow.
If you gave me 1,000 guesses, I don't think I would have come up. No, but now you're probably never going to forget it. It became a popular destination because people who traveled to South Dakota on steamboats, they stopped in this city on their way to the Black Hills, which is in the western part of the state, and there was a big gold rush in the Black Hills in the 1870s. There's still some big towns out there, Rapid City, Sturgis, where they have the bike rally every year, and then this place called Deadwood, which is a ghost town, but it was the show Deadwood was named after Deadwood, South Dakota.
I see.
So very Wild West.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Let's get into some beer. Okay, so the first brewery in the city was founded in 1866. It was known as the City Brewery, located on 2nd and Walnut Streets, and they shipped their equipment right up the Missouri River. The owner was a little bit of a shady character.
Oh.
His name was Charles Rothschild, and he was from Wisconsin. And he was involved in a brewery out there. But his partner forced him out of the partnership of the brewery because he got in a fight with a man and he actually killed him.
Oh, wow.
So he went to court. The judge acquitted him. There seems to be maybe some bribery going on there. And then at that same time, the brewery that he used to be partners in burned down.
Oh, okay.
And there was never any evidence that it was Charles who did it, but I mean, what a coincidence that
Yeah,
is.
that's a pretty
And then
fishy right there.
yeah, and then the kicker is after the brewery burned down, he left town.
Oh, okay. I
So
mean,
he's not even trying.
yeah.
So he left town, he came to Yankton. He was a butcher for a little bit, and then he started the first brewery. But he was also a judge in Yankton, and he was also the city's mayor.
I feel like those should be two separate people, maybe.
There probably weren't a lot of options, yeah.
Yeah.
But he went from almost convicted murderer
To a
to
judge
mayor. Yeah.
Okay.
So he had this brewery, the City Brewery. His son-in-law joined in 1876, so he must have married out there. And he died in 1887. So he had this brewery for over 2 decades. And it was very early on because the gold rush didn't start until the 1870s, and that's when this area really picked up. Let's see, after he died in 1887, the brewery went through a number of name changes and it reorganized formally in 1901 as the Schwenk-Barth Brewing Company. Fred Schwenk and Martin Barth, they were from Cleveland, Ohio. They moved to Yankton. They modernized the facility. They piped water from the Missouri River. And they created this beer called the Rosebud beer. And it was named after the Rosebud Indian Reservation that was nearby and is still a reservation in South Dakota.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so if you Google Rosebud beer, you'll see memorabilia from the brewery that shows the beer marketed with a rose, but they'll also show the facility that was in Yankton because it was a really awesome building.
Rosebud beer. That just sounds familiar. Like,
Does
I don't
it?
know if I've... Yeah, I don't know why. It just sounds familiar. Maybe I've heard it somewhere a long time ago. I don't know.
The only other thing I have written down is that Wisconsin again. Here you go. Close your ears. At Harold C. Johnson Brewing Company, they had a Rosebud beer and they actually had a Native American chief on their advertisement. So the brand continued after this brewery closed because that was after Prohibition. So maybe the brand is still around.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I guess I should have looked that up. Okay, another brewery that started in town was the John Forster Brewery, and it was founded in 1870 on Locust and Ninth Streets. Owner, if you could guess, John Forster. He died in a buggy accident in 1882. Oh. So he died in 1882, and then his wife, Eliza, took over the brewery. And we've seen this before, the wives taking over for their husbands. We talked about it in our season 1 episode about Wheeling, West Virginia. Elizabeth took over the brewery there after her husband Morris died, and the son was too young to do much of anything. You know, it wasn't like Egypt when they made the pharaohs children.
Right.
And one of the, I guess it's a tale, she made some of the brewers, when they were done brewing, clean her house in the downtime.
Oh, wow.
So Eliza in Yankton, she ran the brewery until it closed in 1889, so almost 7 years.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah. Someone bought the facility in 1897, and they named a new brewery called Eureka Brewing Company, and that lasted about 4 years, closed in 1901. But the cool thing about this is the Eureka Brewing Company, its location is where the Lincoln Elementary School is now in Yankton, and apparently there's this hill behind the school. Like I said, I've never been to Yankton, never heard of it, but apparently there's a hill behind the school, and there's a theory that this brewery had storage cellars built into the landscape there.
Oh, interesting.
So these kids might be playing on a playground, and there might be like these hidden cellars underneath.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
I know.
That's really cool.
I know. I like the whole idea of like urban exploring.
Right, yeah. Huh.
So now you have something to do when you go to Yankton. You can
I know.
jump the chain link fence into this playground.
You're like, what are you doing?
Yeah. You're going to have to do it in the guise of darkness.
Yeah.
Prohibition was enacted in South Dakota in 1889, and that is the same year that it became a state. Another question for you. Do you know what number South Dakota was in the Union? What number state?
No. I feel so dumb. No.
It's a tough question. It was the 40th state.
The 40th state.
Just
Okay.
a fun fact for you there.
Oh.
So it was enacted in 1889, it was repealed in 1896, and then it was enacted again in 1917, and this time, that's when national prohibition came around. So it was on until 1933. And the Schwenk-Barth Brewing Company, that was the one that was still around at the time of prohibition. They attempted to sell non-alcoholic beverages, but it was an unsuccessful adventure.
Non-alcoholic beverages.
They just don't do the trick.
They don't. They don't.
They make you gassy, but they don't make you drunk.
You need to feel that buzz.
So that means the last brewery in South Dakota was 1917, and they didn't have another one for 90 years until 2007.
Wow, that's
Isn't
a
that crazy?
big gap. That's a huge gap.
Yeah, but the more cities that we do, funny how that's the story in a lot of these cities.
Yeah, it's like the common theme in a weird way, without them doing it intentionally.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? They're just,
it's like, it's like when it's not like that, it's the outlier now.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2007, that's when Ben's Brewing Company was founded, owned by Ben Hanton, so literally Ben's Brewing Company. It was founded, so it moved into this building in downtown that was the Hugh Glass Bar, and then it became Ben's Brewing Company. So on the main floor, they had the tap room, and in the basement, which used to be a bomb shelter, that's where they did the brewing operations.
Wow, it used to be a bomb?
That's what one source, a bomb shelter. Yeah, that's what one source said.
Okay.
And it probably had one of those, the signs that they put outside of the bomb shelters, like the radiation.
Yeah, maybe.
They had one on.
This is a good place.
Yeah, I always saw one on Temple's campus, and I'm like, where? I don't even know how to get into this building. Like, I'd be toast. So they brewed from 2007 until 2009, and then they said it wasn't really a profitable business, so they stopped brewing. And 2007 is pretty early, especially in a small town like Yankton, to have a brewing company. But then he started back up in 2017, and he has kept going since. They were still in that building downtown, but they're actually, sometime this year, they're going to open a new building in town, and they're going to start canning, and their production's going to increase threefold.
Wow.
So now, so now, unlike last time, it seems like they're actually growing. Hopefully they keep it up.
Good for them.
I know.
That's really awesome.
Really, resilience.
Exactly.
So every brewery, as you know, we like to highlight a beer. The beer I wanted to highlight here is called White Wall Session Ale. It got a 3.8 on Untappd, and it was brewed for White Wall Sessions, which is a local musical TV show. And it was clever because they used the word session. Session is a type of beer, and it can be any style of beer, but it's under 5%. So you really take any style, you just kind of lower the alcohol, so it's a little bit more drinkable. So White Wall Session Ale refers to the beer, but then also refers to the show. Good job, Ben. They were the only brewery in town until last year, 2020, the fateful year.
I know, 2020.
Sorry to bring it up. That is when Backspace Brewing Company was officially founded. They started in a founder's garage, I think a little bit before that. Their beers on Untappd go back to 2019, so it seems like they were doing some home brewing. But this episode is going to come out next Thursday, which is going to be February 25th, and their big ribbon cutting ceremonies February 26th. So if you're listening to this when it comes out, that's going to be tomorrow. So congratulations.
Yeah,
for them.
Congrats.
Yeah. Their motto is delete boring beer. Their name is Backspace, delete boring beer.
I like that.
Yeah. Their location, so this is where it all ties in. This is kind of why I like it. Their location is downtown Yankton. They're in a garage in the old Schwenk-Barth Brewery building.
Mm,
So it's kind of funny because they started in the founder's garage and now they're in a garage of this old brewery. But most of this brewery is called the Riverfront Event Center. So you can have like a conference there. There's a hotel. People have their weddings there. They have rooms called the Rosebud Room, the Barley Room, and it looks really beautiful. I know you just got engaged, so you might want to look into Yankton.
Look into it. What is it called? I want to see it. I want to look
It's
it
called the Riverfront Event Center. Their pictures online make it look beautiful. And now you have a brewery, you don't even have to leave the building. That's my kind of wedding. As you're looking that up, I'm going to entice you even more about. I'm going to tell you about this beer.
Okay.
They don't have many beers, obviously, because they're only been open for a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that they have on tap now is called In the Cloud Cream Ale. It's 5.6%. It got a 3.82 on Untapped. It has strawberry puree and Tahitian vanilla beans, so it's supposed to taste like a strawberry milkshake.
That sounds delicious.
Doesn't it?
And dangerous. And dangerous.
Mm-hmm. I started to like salivate when I was reading about it.
Right, wow, that sounds really good.
Yeah. But at the brewery, they also have beers from other breweries from Nebraska, Oklahoma, Colorado, Iowa, and South Dakota. So it's kind of like a bar / brewery.
Mm-hmm.
So they do a nice shop. Yeah. Are you looking it up?
I found it. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Isn't it beautiful? I know.
I like the old structure, right? You have you're just like within that setting that used to be some other thing, but I don't know. Maybe because we're history buffs in a way, and we just kind of like that. But
I think there's a lot of history buffs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice because you can see the brick walls and they have the big windows.
I have a thing for big, tall ceilings and huge windows. Oh, well, I think a lot of people do too. So whatever.
Yeah, they really get you going.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the only two breweries in Yankton, South Dakota. So not a vast brewing history, but it is cool that they're merging the past with the present.
I think so. Yes.
Bigger cities aren't even doing that, so I give them a lot of credit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just a random city on the Missouri River, in South Dakota. but they have some cool stories coming out of it.
Yeah, they really do. I mean, I would definitely visit Yankton. I would go there, visit maybe that school, and try to find that old cellar.
Yeah. I want to go.
Arrested for that. For
you're like the
30-year-old woman jumping up.
You're in your wedding dress and you're getting arrested at a playground.
It's like, oh
gosh. I can't wait. Well, hopefully they don't listen to this as evidence, because then it's going to be premeditated now.
That's right. Oh God.
I've watched enough true crime to know.
Well, yeah, it sounds like a really cool town. Like they have a good history, and the fact that they have a 90-year gap.
I know.
Have two breweries that just come out of nowhere, and they're really blending history with just modernity, and it's kind of an awesome little story right there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That's what you have to do in these small towns, I guess, to survive. Have a little bit of both.
That's right. Going back to resiliency, right?
Theme of the episode. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can listen to our episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you want to listen. And you can find out more information on brewerytowns.com. And that was another episode of Brewery Towns.